A few months back, Peter Steinberger, the developer who built OpenClaw, posted on X asking people to stop buying Mac Minis to run his agent and to sponsor the project's contributors instead. He pointed out it could run on Amazon's free tier. Mac Minis kept selling out anyway. People didn't listen, and the people who did buy them are now sitting on hardware they barely use. Because in the 4 months since, OpenClaw has gone from the fastest growing open source project in GitHub history to a project Anthropic blocked, security firms publicly warned against, and the founder himself walked to join OpenAI. This is the story of how that happened. How a 1 hour weekend hack hit 250,000 stars faster than any software project ever measured. And how in the span of 1 quarter, the economics and the trust that built it all collapsed at the same time. I run multiple AI products of my own. I tried OpenClaw inside one of my apps earlier this year, and I'm watching the same failure pattern set up other agent projects right now. Peter Steinberger spent 13 years building a company called PS PDF Kit, a PDF framework that ran on roughly 1 billion devices through customers like Dropbox and DocuSigns. He sold his stake to Insight Partners in a deal that included a €100 million strategic investment and then completely fell apart. He's been very open about this. On his blog and in interviews, he described feeling like Austin Powers when they sucked the mojo out and said he couldn't get code out for years. Then, in late 2025, he sat down at his computer, played around with Claude Code, and in roughly an hour, wrote a bridge that let him send WhatsApp messages to Claude Code. He pushed it to GitHub on November 24th, 2025 and called it Claudebot. For 2 months, it sat there with a small following. Then, late January 2026, it went absolutely nuclear. 9,000 stars in 24 hours. 100,000 inside a week. 200,000 in 84 days. By March, it had passed React and Linux to become the most starred software project on GitHub. React took a decade. So what took off? Picture a gateway sitting at the front door of your computer, connected to all your messaging apps: WhatsApp, Slack, Telegram, Signal, Discord, iMessage, email. When a message comes in, the gateway routes it to the agent runtime where the AI lives. The runtime runs a loop. The model reasons, calls a tool, gets the result, reasons again until the task is done, right? 2 pieces make it different from a chatbot. It's event-driven, so any channel or webhook can wake it up. And it has a built-in cron, so you can tell it every morning at 7, check my email and summarize it. And so what you end up with is a thing that lives in your messages and runs while you're not watching. That's why everyone got so excited. But the actual reason the project went viral so fast had less to do with the architecture and more to do with the price. People realized you could plug your $200 Claude Max subscription into OpenClaw, and it would let you spend that subscription's token at API rate workloads. Reports later confirmed people were running thousands of dollars a day in equivalent API usage off a $200 plan. That's the real fuel that took it to a 250,000 stars in 2 months. Cheap, almost free, near unlimited Claude. If you're getting something out of this, I do it every day, where I break down what's actually shipping in AI. And if you need an AI product actually built, agent workflows, Claude Code routines, full applications like the ones I'm walking you through here, I take on a small number of clients through Upwork. Links in the description, hit subscribe. Now back to the video. Now here's where the fall actually starts. The story that put security on the front page was Summer Yuez. She's the director of alignment at Meta Superintelligence Labs. Her job is making sure AI systems don't go off the rails. On February 22nd, she posted on X that she'd asked her OpenClaw agent to look at her email. And instead of suggesting cleanup, it started speed running deletion of every email older than a week. She tried to stop it from her phone and it ignored her. Her exact words were that she had to run to her Mac Mini like she was defusing a bomb. When she killed the process and asked the agent if it remembered her instruction to confirm before acting, it said, said, quote, "Yes, I remember and I violated it." Her post hit 9.6 million views. The technical cause was something called context compaction, where the agent's working memory fills up and it summarizes older messages to make room. The summary dropped her confirmation rule. The agent literally forgot the only guardrail that mattered. The intentional attacks were even worse. The CEO of a company called Orchestra demonstrated in a Kaspersky write-up that you can extract a private SSH key from a target's machine just by sending an email with a prompt injection inside and getting the agent to check the inbox. The agent reads the email, treats the malicious instructions as commands from its owner, and hands over the key. No hack, just an email. A separate audit by a security firm called Kukuy found that 12% of all skills in the public ClawHub marketplace were malicious. By March, a coordinated supply chain attack had pushed that to over 800 bad skills. 9 new CVEs dropped in 4 days, one of them a 9.9 out of 10 on the severity scale. Security Scorecard found over 135,000 publicly exposed instances. Cisco and Microsoft both publicly warned customers about running OpenClaw without sandboxing. And then on April 4th, the economics collapsed too. Anthropic announced that third-party tools like OpenClaw could no longer use Claude Pro or Max subscription tokens. The cheap compute loophole that drove the entire viral moment was closed overnight. Users had to switch to direct API billing, which is pay as you go and meaningfully more expensive. A tech writer named Federico Vitici publicly shared he'd burned through 180 million tokens in his first month of heavy use, ending up with a roughly $3,600 Anthropic invoice. Claw Cloud, one of the hosted versions, eventually shipped 2 new heartbeat models that, in their own release notes, cut per run cost by over 95%. The fact that the ecosystem itself had to ship aggressive cost fixes tells you how bad the bills got. 10 days later, Anthropic shipped its own answer. On April 14th, they launched Claude Code Routines, which lets developers schedule Claude Code sessions to run on Anthropic's own cloud, triggered by cron, by webhook, or by GitHub events. It does the core thing OpenClaw was popular for, scheduled autonomous tasks, but managed, supervised, and inside Anthropic's billing. A lot of the developers who built personal automations on OpenClaw moved to routines almost immediately. And Claude can hook up with a plugin to popular apps like Discord or WhatsApp or Telegram. The developers who wanted full local control mostly moved to one of 3 places. The first is Hermes Agent from Noise Research, the lab behind the Hermes models. It shipped on February 25th. It hit 110,000 GitHub stars in 10 weeks, and it's been called the OpenClaw killer in coverage from the New Stack and Medium. Its architectural bet is different. It has a closed learning loop where the agent gets better at your specific workflows over time by writing its own skill files. The second place developers went was running their own local models. The whole point of buying a Mac Mini in the first place was local control, and the people who actually wanted that control stopped paying Anthropic and started running open weight models. Both OpenClaw and Hermes have direct support for it. Once you're running locally, every cron tick, every heartbeat, every chatty tool call is free. Your bill goes from thousands of dollars a month to the cost of electricity. You give up some intelligence depending on the model you pick, but for routine tasks like classifying email, drafting messages, or running scheduled scripts, modern open models are absolutely good enough. NanoClaw, a Raspberry Pi friendly version of OpenClaw, was specifically built for this. So was a wave of language ports like ZeroClaw in Rust and PycoClaw in Go, all designed to run small and run local. The third place was building it yourself. Nader Dabit published a post called "You Could Have Invented OpenClaw," walking through the entire architecture from scratch using a Telegram bot, an LLM client, a JSON-L file for session history, and a total loop. It made the rounds in builder circles because once you read it, you realize OpenClaw is hundreds of thousands of lines wrapped around what fits in a few hundred lines of Python. Composio rebuilt the whole concept using the Claude Agent SDK in Docker containers with proper sandboxing and open sourced it as a project called Secure OpenClaw. The pattern that keeps showing up in builder write-ups is is to pair an agent with N8N, where N8N handles the deterministic workflows that have to fire reliably, and the agent handles the reasoning. So where does this leave you? OpenClaw isn't dead. The repo is still gaining stars. Tencent built a product on it, and NVIDIA shipped an enterprise version called NemoClaw. But the original story, viral, build it yourself personal AI moment, that story is over. What's left is infrastructure, which is fine, but it's not the thing people fell in love with. If you're building agents yourself right now, the smart move is what the developers who saw this coming did 3 months ago. Pick one workflow, automate just that. Use cheap models for routine tasks, run open weight models locally for the chatty stuff, and pay for the frontier models only when the reasoning genuinely matters. Sandbox the agent, treat it like a contractor, be careful what credentials you hand it. Or look at Hermes, look at routines, look at Olama, look at Nader's write-up. There are now 5 or 6 real ways to get what OpenClaw promised, and most of them aren't OpenClaw anymore. Thank you so much, and I'll see you tomorrow.